Hello, my name is Ayo-Adeusi, and this is Heart of the Matter. In today's fashion in Nigeria, we have a lot more fashion designers intent on creating space and a room for menswear. We have a lot more Nigerian men who are looking to be stylish and well-groomed, and they're finding their fashion from designers in Nigeria. In fact, it's so amazing that it's become an important aspect of the cultural conversation in the country. Today we have with us Creative Director of Kaiser Lifestyle and Dudy Photography, Kehinde Songonuga, who is actually helping us understand the role that fashion plays beyond just looking great in society. Stick around, we'll be right back. Welcome, Kehinde. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing very well.
I just want to, first of all, we've come full circle. So for guys who don't know anything, we'll give you some inside gist. So Kehinde was the first designer that I ever worked with when I moved back to Nigeria in 2015. Before anything even happened, when we're still trying to get people to even look in our direction. We're really hustling and trying to make it work. Kehinde was the first person who actually gave me a chance with my style. And here we are, full circle, 2018, 3 years later.
Yep.
Right? How has it been? And congratulations on being in the game for this long.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a pleasure working with Deepo, actually. He just walked into the store and, he said what he needed, and I was open, and I'm glad I did that because
we've done movies now together. We've done a bunch of different things.
Yeah, of course. It's been a good relationship.
Awesome. Okay. Let's get into this gist. So, you are creative director of Dudy Photography. That's something that I even didn't know initially.
Yes.
So, aside from the fashion and the lifestyle.
Yes, that's my first love.
That's your first, because that's what you started out with, right?
Yes.
So, what is Dudy Photography about?
Well, Dudy Photography basically is a photography company that deals, in events. I personally do art because we're a company. I do a lot of landscape art. I work for companies. But, we do a lot of events. So people knew us as, an event photography company. But we actually all do these other things. So we've done food. We weren't really big on food. We worked with a company for about 3 years. But I personally, I love landscape. And
that's
art.
your own passion.
Yes, and art. Yes.
But it seems like events pay the bills.
Oh, of course. So that's why we went big on events because that's what got us to where we are today, even with fashion.
Right.
Yes.
And you've managed to maintain a relatively low profile on yourself. So people know Dudy Photography, but they don't even know that. So when people hear about you with your fashion, they don't realize the same person.
Yes.
Was that intentional?
Well, that was a mistake. I made a mistake when I started photography. People knew me too well. So every time they didn't see me, they didn't want anybody.
It was Kehinde or nobody else.
Yes. So, I tried to pull back a little bit so I could give, the company a chance. So with Kaiser as well, I have, sort of stayed out a bit, but I also had to start showing myself, a little bit more. So,
Yeah, because with fashion, it's a bit different, I personally feel a bit more comfortable when I can meet the creative director, the owner, and we can talk about these stuff. So I know that they know what they're doing.
Exactly. I actually found that out later. And, I spoke to, we were at a talk, some time ago. I think it was a social media week. And I asked the question, and I'm like, why is it that when I spend money to get models, to get a photographer, and to put this thing together, I don't get as much traction as I would get when I just take a picture of myself with a phone, wearing my outfits. Why? So, it's just simply because, the people want to have a feel of who you really are as the creative director or, the owner or whatever. So, so that's why we go in that direction now.
And are you still going on with Dudy Photography? Is that still going on?
Yes, not as wide as it used to be, in events, but it's still there. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. All right, so let's delve a little bit into Kaiser Lifestyle. Now, I'm almost tempted to say Kaiser Suits because that's the one that's very,
Yes, that's
But
how it started.
what is lifestyle about?
All right, so lifestyle is about everything the man needs.
Okay.
You know, when it comes to looking good, dressing up. So we started with suits. I mean, it was something we had to do because of the funds.
Okay.
We didn't have enough funds to start the whole thing at one time. So we started, okay, let's start with the suits. And then we moved to the shoes, we moved to shirts, and that's how we keep growing it. Yeah. But now we can easily say we are a lifestyle company because you can come into the store, it's a one-stop shop, for everything you pick up. Everything.
Because you even do accessories as well.
Yes, exactly.
And one thing I think a lot of people don't know, and I really love this about what you do. So you have this little like diary thing where you follow certain men about as they're kind of going through it, they document the things that they wear that are from Kaiser. I really love talk about that.
Yes. So I again, it goes back to when I said I used to spend money and I didn't used to get enough traction. Right. So now I realize that, people want to see the actual people, how they look. I got, a woman coming sometime and said, why can't my husband look like this mannequin?
I want to see this look.
And I'm like, reality is, this is the beautiful look, but yes, he can look close to that. So we follow these guys around because they are real guys and you see them, day to day, it's just normal.
So that means that your appeal is not necessarily, because a lot of what we see on social media leads us to believe that the fashion appeal resides mostly with the known personalities and these celebrities. But for you, from what you're saying, you are sort of geared more toward the average Nigerian man who's just like, an executive or whatever else.
Yes. Now, again, Kaiser is more into the working man.
Right.
We have weddings and all that, but we focus more on the working man. So how do we cater to the man that, has his 9 to 5, doesn't have enough time to, get a suit made bespoke, but we want to give him as close to bespoke as possible. So that is what Kaiser really is about. And we also want to be realistic. We don't want to show too much of the overdone. We want you to see the reality. I know that, look, this is really possible.
What it looks like.
Yes, and you can look this good. This is a real person. It's not a model.
Okay. So you talked about, and going into the sort of the model for Kaiser suits. So you talked about the fact that it's not bespoke.
No.
So what you do, and I know this because I've been to the store. It's a gorgeous space, by the way. So what you have is ready-made suits that are, just hung, but you have a variation of designs and styles.
Yes.
So how do you talk about the manufacturing process?
Okay, so I do the designs. I'm a creative guy. So photography, art. I am interior, everything. So I do the designs. I choose, everything we need for the show. The fabrics, the lining, inside. And we try to also make it a little bit playful. We don't want it to just look, stringent, and normal. We want you to move and let people ask you, okay, where did you get this? For instance, I open my suit, it's playful inside, and stuff like that. Well, the process, I do the designs. I sit down with my guys. I have a guy or two guys in Lagos, and I have another guy in Istanbul. Okay. We sit down, we do, we agree on the drawings, we do the drawings, and then we get the fabrics on paper. They make it on paper, and then when everything, is agreed between everybody, we produce. So a lot of our fabrics, you can't see. You can't find them in any store anywhere else. Even the plain fabrics, that we have, you won't find them in any other store in this country because, our fabrics, are picked for us. You know, they are made from scratch for us.
For you.
Yes.
Specifically to you.
So we make, you know, we make them in bulk, you know, and then over time, you know, you use them out, and then you can't find that again. We make something else.
So once a sort of more or less collection is gone,
It's gone.
you have a new set and a
Yes.
new. Okay. Because I was going to ask you. I mean, the industry is so saturated right now.
Of course.
There's a lot of different new designers. So it felt like all of a sudden there was this trigger, this light, you know, bulb that just switched on in a lot of people, and they went into menswear design.
Yes.
How have you managed to stay relevant, one, and how have you managed to stay creative in all of that?
Well, I would say fashion, or not just men's fashion. Fashion is not child's play. It's actually real business. It's actually proper business. You know, a lot of people that work for me feed their families from this place. I mean, so, you know, there's a lot that goes into it. You know, funding, you know, financing, branding. You know, we are tied to different companies, you know, that help us to really build, you know, around the brand. So the brand is a growing brand. It is not, you know, at the plateau or where it's supposed to be yet. So we are gradually growing and also evolving as we grow. You know, so we're learning, you know, by the day. And it is so important, you know, PR and branding is so important, you know, that I know that it keeps us going daily. So we stay relevant because we are tied to these different, you know, parts of business. You know, our finances are handled properly. Right. You know, we have accountants, we have external auditors. You know, we are still a small company, but I mean, we are trying to build it, you know, from the ground up.
So you talked about PR and branding, but we're going to take a quick break. I want to talk more about that, the business of this, how you make profit, and a few other things about impact. But don't go anywhere. All right, guys, we'll be right back.
This is how I fight my battle.
But if God tells you that you're something, then you're that thing.
Daughter of the Most High.
All right, guys, welcome back. We're still here with our guest, Kehinde Songonuga. So you talked about PR and branding, and this is something that I personally get into a little bit. So what I want to talk about is how businesses make profit, because you see, the first thing is we see a lot of these brands on social media, you know, with all these celebrities who are wearing their clothes, but a number of them aren't really making profit. So how do you manage to stay, because it's important, at the end of the day, it's still a business. How do you manage between doing PR, you know, getting some recognition and actually making profit so you can sustain your business?
Yeah. The first thing everyone needs to know really is basic. Keep your costs low. We didn't start PR immediately. Then, you know, also with our suppliers, we didn't go high-end, you know, almost immediately. You know, the one thing that is, constant with, the brand from beginning is we want quality and we want the best. But how do you keep the cost low, with your suppliers? You show them consistency. You try and create a credit line, where you can manage, your costs and stuff. And then, just generally keeping, the weight low. So with staff, with
so
spending.
don't do so much
Exactly.
expenditure.
For instance, I wasn't paid for the longest time. I had to just manage, and even being paid as well. I'm paid very, very,
As
very
close to nothing as
yes,
possible.
yes, trust me. So now when you now bring branding in, you also, liaise with the companies. Everything is negotiations to me. Everything is negotiations and everything is possible. You can get everything you want, just negotiate and show that you're serious. So with the companies that brand for you, that do PR, you can find, singles, just one person that, can do your accounting or one person that can do your PR cheap. And that person also is doing for 10 other companies. So he's getting, what he really wants in a month.
Right.
Then when you've scaled up,
you can now get like a proper branding
exactly,
and PR company to
exactly.
do your
And
work.
if that person has also built his own company over
They
time,
could be the person.
they could be the person.
Awesome.
Or the company gives you one person
Oh, right. And then
to focus on. Yes, exactly.
Oh, nice. I like that you're seeing all of this because there's a lot of young designers out there who approach me on a daily basis and are constantly, I'm sure, approach you as well. And are constantly asking these questions of how can I start my own fashion brand?
Yeah.
How can I sustain my fashion brand? What would be the number one advice you'd give to someone who wanted to start a menswear fashion brand in Nigeria?
Stay humble, stay persistent, and the most important thing is not talent. The most important thing is grit. You need to persevere.
To be beast out here.
You need to not give up on your bad days. Trust me, there are going to be bad days, and I've had bad days, I have had horrible days, but if you don't give up on those days, then, you keep building and you keep understanding that, look, I can actually do this. A lot of us, most of us, not a lot of us, don't know what we're doing actually. We are just going with it as it comes. We just understand the basics and then we learn as we move. So just keep building and, grit is so important. Don't, focus on talent and then carry yourself too high because people will drop you along the way.
I know this all too well because you have had to rebuild a whole thing.
Exactly.
You stayed in it, and it's
exactly.
paying off.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's delve into this impact thing because I think by and large the general perception of fashion in Nigeria, especially amongst men, is that it's all fluff.
Yeah.
It's just fluff. It's just fanfare. People just want to look great and take nice photos and post on the gram. It just looks like very superficial stuff.
Yeah.
Right? But I think fashion plays a very, very important role. Do you think so, and how so?
It does. It does. Look at the film industry.
Okay.
We thought they were playing at first. When we were younger, we were looking at them, these guys are not serious. But look at them.
Yeah.
Look at them. Fashion is a big industry. But, what we need to keep thinking about is how do we sustain and keep building it. Now, on social impact, the first thing is you're employing people. We are not hustlers. That's the first thing. We in Kaiser are not hustling. We are a business that, we employ people. Even we employ 4 people at the moment. But it is a means to an end for them.
For them.
That's the first impact that you are,
so you're giving them something
exactly
that can build them up to something else in the future.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the first thing. Then, you have suppliers.
Okay.
That value chain is also so important. Now we are speaking to a community in Abeokuta because, by the way, I think you know that we do men's corporate kaftans now.
I saw that very recently.
Yes, so we as much as possible want to also produce in Nigeria, You know, so this is our way also of
Giving back.
Contributing, to our bottom line. So we are speaking to a community in Abeokuta for, to supply tie and dye. We want something
very
unique,
authentic
exactly,
to the culture, to
and
Nigeria.
it's the culture. So I find that most of my foreign clients, they don't want suits. They buy it, but they always keep saying, "No, we want."
Because they want to get a feel of that culture.
Exactly, we want the Nigerian.
Okay.
So we went, okay, let's start doing kaftans, which has picked up, but that tie and dye is so unique that.
Because people don't use tie and dye. I know Adire is kind of out there.
Yeah,
Ankara but tie dye is.
Adire and tie and dye, even Ankara, yes, but tie and dye is. Because it's everything is here.
Yes.
A lot of Ankara is not Nigerian.
Yes, exactly.
It's not made in Nigeria.
It's not made here.
So that is another way, we're contributing to our community. We're going to hopefully, employ those women to make, unique designs for us, to carry, in our collections as well.
Oh, awesome. So before we even get this, the segment that I really love is a really fun segment. Before we get there, I have one final question for you regarding this fashion line.
Yes, sir.
We have a lot of, we're beginning to have a few sort of bodies that are pushing and are fighting the causes of the fashion industry. So we have Lagos Fashion Week.
Yes.
We have all these different fashion weeks that are sort of like promoting Nigerian fashion to the rest of the world.
Yes.
And, all these different international publications are coming in and are shining a light on our industry.
Yes.
But what else do you think, either the government or private sector, what do you think they can do to sort of push this out so people can actually see
You just
fashion?
jumped into my mind, actually. Really, we need the government's input in this in policies that enable the fashion industry to grow bigger than what we really are. Because without the government, we are doing a lot already.
Exactly.
And if we have these policies that enable the young businessman in fashion do more than he really is doing, we will actually be contributing even more to the GDP. We need a fashion association or a fashion council.
Something like
Proper,
a body.
a body. Lagos Fashion Week and the GT Fashion Week, they're doing great. But I feel, there's a lot of recycling going on.
Yes.
We need to have something that really is open to everyone, and encourages the new guys. Exactly. So that would, enable this industry, grow even more.
Sorry, I'm just taking one quick question. It just came to my mind. Did you do any kind of formal training for fashion? Because a lot of people feel like you can just stumble into it.
Yes.
Did you do any formal training for fashion?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I've always, just had this in my bloodline, I guess. My dad was just a suit guy when I was younger.
Nice.
Yeah, major suit guy. And I, just loved his style from when I was small, my dad.
Just to watch?
Yes.
Just to watch.
Then I went to a military school.
Oh, wow.
So, I went to a Navy, school. And, the naval officers are the best dressed
uniform is
officers
so nice.
in the world.
Yeah.
You can't compare
sharp.
them to any other,
That's true.
So the naval officers are sharp, they are clean, they have to be
It's like white, right?
pure.
White,
Yes,
blue.
white.
White.
The officers are white. So we always just loved to see them. We always loved to the way they dressed and everything. Even when they wear their informal outfits, they always have to look sharp. So I guess all this contributed to it. And when I then went into photography, I started seeing better. You understand? So I haven't gone yet. I'm going to, but I haven't done any formal trainings in fashion yet.
To?
Oh yeah.
Fantastic.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for shedding all this
Thank
light
you.
on fashion and kind of giving these young fellas out there some some little nuggets of wisdom
Thank
as
you.
to how to get
Thank
your
you
own
so
stuff
much.
going. But now we're going to the fun segment of so this is basically what I like to call rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So basically, it's just don't think too much. First thing that pops to
Just
your mind,
talk.
ask the question.
All right.
You ready?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do this. Who have you met that you wish you hadn't? Who just was like, oh, I wish I didn't meet this.
I don't know.
Can't even say, why are you putting me on the spot?
Don't worry, man.
So everybody bet you've been happy about meeting them.
I mean, there have been some people, but I mean,
Yeah, like, you know.
maybe a lecturer, and like, I'm not gonna say his name.
Whatever lecturer, you know yourself. You know yourself. Okay. When you become super famous, what would you want to be famous for? Because you have all these different things you do.
Well, I want to be famous for my personality, my persona. I just want to be known as that good person. You know, that's what I want to be.
Okay. A lot more. Okay. What is the worst job you could have?
I could have.
Yes. The one thing you would actually hate. Like, nah, I can't do this.
Maybe washing dead bodies.
That was all the way left.
Yes, now.
Wow, that's actually the worst anybody can do.
I can't.
Worst. Ah, wow.
I can't.
Okay. What is your favorite TV channel?
My favorite TV channel is Cartoon Network.
Really? Huh. I say this thing to my friends all the time. I think that animation is a scam because I don't understand human beings.
I mean, I have 2 kids that
Okay,
I put pressure on my life.
That says a lot. See, when you have 2 children, it
Yes.
becomes your favorite thing to do. Okay. All right, last question.
Yeah.
What is the one thing you're most afraid of?
I'm most afraid of not doing what I really want to do. I used to be very afraid of failure, but I have failed in so many ways,
Yeah,
and
just
I've
like
learned from it. It's nothing. So I'm most afraid of getting to the end and realizing, why didn't I do this thing? You understand? So yeah, that is it.
Well, that's all we have.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you so
sir.
much, Kehinde.
Thanks for having me.
Long time coming, right?
Yes, boss.
I love it.
Thank
All right,
you.
guys, that's all we have for this episode. But don't forget to follow us on social media. We are HOTM TV on Instagram and Heart of the Matter on Facebook. Until next time, my name is Ayo-Adeusi. Have a great week.